What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Her Lounge podcast. We are live from my breakfast area at my house. Listen, y'all, I had a pop up this past weekend. I had a lot of housework to catch up on. So I told Juan, I said, hey, I need to take Monday to catch up on my laundry, change my sheets. I change them every Sunday, but I was so tired this Sunday. I was like, I'm gonna have to sleep on these dirty 1 week sheets. I guess I'm not changing them this Sunday. But anyway, so I managed to be able to catch up on some housework, and we're recording today. But on Tuesdays, if you're wondering why I'm wearing this shirt, I volunteer. And so, this is happening after my volunteer session. But anyways, we're about to get into some juicy gossip that's happening in Hollywood, because why not talk about it? But this is really, I think, in general about cheating and relationships. And I think this is a good kind of way to go into it. But it says, before you cheat, read this. Your spouse will never fully heal. It's not just trust in you that your affair will damage. Communication, compassion, vulnerability, respect, support, love, appreciation, to name a few, will need repairing as well. I'm gonna have to do like a church sermon. We're just gonna have to really touch on each thing here. I mean, dang. The road to recovery for your partner is long and lonely. They have no guarantee that you or anyone else won't hurt them again, thus making the healing process just as painful and scary as the discovery of the affair. If you have a heart, this process is also this process is also painful for you as you watch helplessly while your partner recovers from the trauma of your affair. I mean, I really don't think a lot of people don't have remorse. I think once they cheat, it's here's what I think. So it says, it's not just trust in you that your affair will damage. Communication, compassion, vulnerability, respect, support, love, appreciation. In the past, when a friend has ever been cheated on and they're married and they still made their marriage work, I seriously have always thought to myself, how do you sleep next to that person, not thinking about or not processing the thought of, yeah, he was up in bed with someone else. Yeah, he was kissing someone else. He was having sex with someone else. And a lot of it is therapy, and I totally get it. For some people, it works, that therapy works. But for me, in my brain, I feel like you have damaged our communication. You have damaged our compassion, all our respect, especially respect for me, support, love, appreciation. And that's why I don't know that I could forgive. I don't know. I think it's that one thing for me. I've never been in the situation, so that's why I never like to use the word never, right? But I don't know that I honestly could forgive someone for cheating on me, and we're married, because now I feel like you're not even taking our marriage seriously. And two, if you were already missing something between our relationship and something was you weren't vibing with me, why not be a man and come up to me and say, you know what? I'm not really digging this part. I don't really feel this part. So either A, we're going to have to fix it, or B, we need to chunk the deuce and go our separate ways. What's the point of cheating? Asking for a friend. Asking for Jada.
Not the guy on the other side of the camera.
No. Okay, wait, Juan, this is perfect. Oh my God. Wait a second.
Oh my God, I got allowed to chime in.
Oh my God.
Wait, but okay, hang on. Okay, let me just say this, because I think it's also cultural, and it's also within the times too, because there's a lot that goes on here in the sense where you say that from a place, and I tell Chingo this too. Y'all have lived full lives and then come into it in a marriage where it's yeah, we've lived our lives. And when we said our vows, we fucking met our vows.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of normal people, and a normal cultural thing to do today is not understand really. It's because we were taught younger, marriage is just what you do. But we don't have the same values that the people in the 70s and 80s and early 60s, all that. We don't have those values of what marriage is supposed to mean, because it's been bastardized into this whole, yeah, girl, that's what you do to get that bag, girl. You get them on child support. Yeah, and you know what? Get the, have 3 kids and they're on child support, and it's just gonna pay your rent. All that kind of stuff. like that's new. Like, you know what I mean? Like where it's been like, it's almost been profitable to be like, yeah, get your kids and get them to pay. You know what I mean? Like like people don't understand, like younger guys and women, they just think it's the thing to do. And we're just hoping like by romance movies, like, yeah, man, I can't wait to like get married and I'll wait for that one person. And then they don't really understand the foundation of, no, when you get married, it's not that you won anything. Like, there's no rush to getting married. Meaning like you don't get a prize for getting married super early. The prize is the journey. Like you're with somebody like that you get to like really be unionized with, where it's like, oh, I get to know this person through and through, where it's like, I understand her on a level where only I understand her, and she understands me on a level that I only understand. And I get to go on this journey with that person that knows me in a deeper way than my friends do.
Sure.
And so it's the whole journey of like, dude, I finished this race with this chick. It was great. Like, and you get to die. And then, but at that point, like you've built this bond with somebody where it's like, oh, dude, that was great. The people don't have that view of it.
And
anymore.
you're saying because sometimes people get married young as well, right? Like that's also another issue. They didn't get to live life, meaning you didn't get to party. Because, when I was growing up and going back to the call center, said you from earlier, I was one of the youngest people that worked at the call center. So I heard stories of all kind when I was there because, these people had already experienced so much. I mean, I was only 20 years old, so I hadn't lived much of nothing. You know what I'm saying? I was still party mode. But one of the things I always tell people that used to trip me out was grown adults that age, like older, like 28, almost 30, still living paycheck to paycheck. That used to always like throw me for a loop. I couldn't understand it. Like, how are we making all this money? Like, and they were single. They weren't married, right? But they were single. And I used to be like, can we sit down? Like, let me help you manage your money. Like, I just wanted to sit down and show them, like, listen, you get a check on the 1st of the month. You get one on the 15th of the month. Like, I just literally, like, my brain just like, and
Economics 101 with
exactly. I was like, listen, like, let's just make it. And I guess I had to be like that because I was paying for school, so I didn't have a choice. Like, I decided to leave my mom's house, and I was trying to be grown, pay my own bills. I didn't know what it was like to pay your own bills, and then I was like, on top of that, still trying to go to school. So I was like, oh, this is how this life works. Oh, and then why would I not go live in an average apartment? I mean, I gotta live in the nice condo, that stuff, the stupidest thing ever, right? Instead of just finding a normal little apartment that's safe, maybe $600 rent. I know, I had to go pay the $1,200 a month. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's because your mom was on you.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, right?
No, but they didn't have a mom probably like that. They had a mom that sheltered them probably. That was like parents that probably sheltered them and didn't teach them the finance part of it because they didn't want to tell their kids they were struggling. Probably.
That's true stuff too. Yeah. But anyway, going back, we were talking about adults and all that. Like for me, whenever I was already probably late 20s when I started working at another call center, right? And that's the call center I told you, like this one girl I knew was like sleeping with one person first. And then after that, she was like, oh, I'm no longer talking to him. And I used to be like, but bro, like your husband works here. Like you can't be doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, I don't know if you know, but if you get caught, that's like really weird. Like, because the person you're also messing with is a pretty high position. So that person is going to this is what didn't compute in my head, was that person was willing to risk it. If y'all got busted, they're going to have to fire both of y'all. And when you go tell your wife why you got fired, and when you go tell your husband why you got fired, and your husband working here with us in another department, and I get it, he's in another building, but what are you going to say? Hit
him with the quote. The quote, there's a very famous quote about this.
No, what is it?
Don't shit where you eat.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's really common. That's super common sense. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so for me, dogs know that. You know what I'm saying? Shit, come on. Dogs know that. So it's like, to me, I never got it. And for me, when it really became an issue was when she started saying, hey, can I tell my husband I'm going to lunch with you? And here's why. See, I used to go to the gym during lunch because I was in school, so I couldn't go. Like, I would like literally sneak off so that I can get gym time. I would like eat my lunch like say I needed to go to the break room and go to the restroom, because the restroom was by the break room, and I'd go eat literally like in 5 minutes just so that I can get gym time. But she knew that I went to the gym and I was not giving up my gym time, right? So she says, hey, can I tell him that I'm going to go to lunch with him? I'm like, but I'm not. I'm going jogging. And I'm going jogging in this neighborhood. So people drive by there to go to lunch. So if he sees me jogging, what's going to happen? She's like, well, can you not jog there today? I was like, no, like, I can't do that. Like, I'm not going to be a part of your, you know what I'm saying? Like a part of your cheating. Like, I just can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So like, I mean, it was trippy to me how a lot of people that I worked with were like, you know, I'm not talking about the single ones because they weren't doing, you know what I'm saying? They were living their best lives. But the ones that were the married ones that were messing with the single ones, like, y'all had all the stuff to lose. The single one ain't got nothing to lose. They ain't got nobody to report to. They're living their best life. So I'm not saying that's okay too, but I'm just saying, like, what do they have to do? Mm-hmm. But I will agree that I feel like I did end up getting married and I ended up like settling down pretty much. I mean, there's nothing I felt like I hadn't done. I've traveled, right? I've had, you know, 2 other businesses before I got married. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was really like nothing. Like, I had already invested. I owned an investment property. You see what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't like anything I felt like I hadn't done yet or that I was missing out. So, I mean, I have zero, like, first of all, like, that's why I never really had serious relationships, because I just felt like it was a lot of work, right? And I think we all know that in a marriage, that's even more work, right? Because there's always up and downs, you know, ups and downs about everything, whether it be financially, whether it be the children, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? It's not, there's no such thing as a perfect marriage, you know, and if yours is perfect.
And that's the other thing, is that you got to have that conversation. That's the other thing that I was never told. Like, there was a lot of lies about marriage and all the other stuff, and like there was always that, and they lived happily ever after, but nobody talked about like, no, okay, but there's more to that story. Yeah. It's like, let's just end it here. But like, really, like, understanding the truth about, like, it's hard. There's some people that talk about it now, but like that's I think, to really understand what it is to be like, oh, okay, and really have like adult conversations about, this is marriage, this is the work that's involved, but you get this. So talk about the benefits and the negatives, and don't lie about the negatives, because nobody wants to ever talk about the negatives. But like, you can't tell me that there's no negatives when like the divorce rate's out of control.
Well, not to bring up, but my sister says she don't care. She's over it now. But I think the whole happily ever after happened to her because she had in her brain no intentions of getting a divorce. You know, in her brain, in her thoughts was, this is forever. You know what I'm saying? Whether we argue, whether we're mad at each other, we fix it and we move forward. And obviously his mentality was not like that. He decided, oh, I'm going to cheat. I'm no longer happy, which that threw her for a loop, because literally, I mean, they just had celebrated their anniversary and he took her out to the country and, you know, they did their favorite things as a couple. She goes out of town for work and comes back and says, oh, by the way, hey, I want a divorce. What? You know what I'm saying? Like, what did I miss? She's like, yeah, we don't have a perfect marriage, but I didn't know we were having problems. Like, I didn't know, like, there was problems there. And I think that's part of communication. You know what I'm saying? Like, big time about communication. And I say that because early on, I'm glad like Pete did that, is like, I was not good at communicating. Like, I just don't like to sit there and continue to argue, like to drag it on. So like, I'm going to let you know how I feel right now. And then I'm gonna be quiet, right? I'm the kind that's silent for a little bit. I'll get
silent killer.
Yes, and I'll get over it. You see what I'm saying? Like, let me get over it on my own, because right now, my thoughts are just like, fuck you. I don't want, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to get there. I don't like talking like that. I don't do the cussing. I don't do the yelling. I just don't want to go there. So I'd rather be left alone. Let me marinate on my thoughts, and then I'm going to let you know what happened. And so sometimes, you know, my marinating happened a minute. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to figure out what I was mad about. You know, finally he said, hey, you know, you got to talk to me. Like, you got to, like, I got to know. Like, I'm not trying to guess here, like, what you're mad about, what I said yesterday, today. Like, I don't know. And then it was like, okay. And then it became easier, which I'm so glad I started doing because it feels so much better. You know what I'm saying? Actually, like voicing what's your issue. You know what I'm saying? And then because this is what I would tell myself every time was, it's a big deal to you. It's not a big deal to him. So you calm down, right? Because he doesn't think he did anything wrong. He didn't see nothing wrong with it. It's a big deal only in your head. So for me, I was trying to process the fact that, why is it a big deal for you? Once you figure out why it was a big deal to you, then go communicate to him why it was a big deal for you. You see what I'm saying? Like for me, I've told him this 100 times, and we're going on 10 years in 2024, and he's finally starting to get it. Almost took 10 years, right? I can't function when
We're
shit.
slow learners.
Yeah.
Leave us alone, Marisol. Hey, don't pick on our curve.
Man.
Hey, we got a curve. We got a curve.
Bro. It's real simple. Like, we got to be organized in order for life to function. You can't be unorganized. Like, you just can't be like, oh, where's this? Where's that? Oh, I don't know where that. You know, you just can't. You can't. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Penny yesterday was looking for her mermaid tail because she felt like being a mermaid yesterday, right? And she's like, but can you just tell me now if you can help me find my mermaid? And I said, can you give me a second? I'm like doing something else. She goes, well, is that a yes or a no? Are you going to help me? And I just said, give me a second, Penelope. I'm in the middle of something, you know? She's like, just say yes or no, Mom, if you're going to help me find it. And I said, you know what? You're so unorganized. I said, I know where it is, but I'm trying to prove a point. So give me a second. And she's like looking at me like, damn, she knows where it's at. And I said, she sat here and I sat there. And I said, do you want to know where your mermaid tail is? Remember the other night you went to bed because you said you were going to be a mermaid. And you wore the mermaid tail to bed. You took the mermaid tail off and you left it on the bed. So go check under the covers where you took the mermaid tail off, and I promise you it's there. And she goes, like a dog. I saw her head just went sideways. Do I go check now? I said, well, go check. I don't know.
She's like, I don't know if I'm in trouble.
Yeah,
Can I
exactly.
Get up?
So she goes up and she checks. She's like, comes back down. She goes, how did you know? I said, because I'm Mom and I know everything. I said, and I organize everything and I know where everything is. And I'm like looking at her. I said, and you know what? If you don't learn to be organized, it's funny because Pete was standing right there, and I said, "If you don't learn to be organized, I said, you're going to be a
right at him, didn't you?
I was telling her, but then I'm about to tell you his comment, and I said, if you don't get organized, you're going to end up like these adults that don't have it together. I said, and you can't be one of those adults. Do you understand? She goes, like, Pete goes, like your dad, Penelope. And I said, I wasn't talking about your dad. And I said, I wasn't talking about you. I was like, I was just saying, you know. He's like, no, but I'm telling her, like her dad. You know what I'm saying?
We comedians, we can't let that joke pass. So come on, we can't stop. You can't stop.
I was like, I wasn't talking about you, but he took it like, damn, she's right. But, you know, like, I want her to know, like, you have to, like, put stuff back where it belongs. We have a place for everything. And, you know, my point to that was, you know, like, I early on saw, even though my parents ended up in a divorce, right? Sadly, to this day, I don't know why my parents got divorced. When I asked my mom, she says, it ain't none of your business. It's a grown folk shit. I was like, I'm so grown. Like, I'm like way grown.
I'm independent.
Yeah.
All right? I'm Miss Independent.
Like,
all right.
what?
I'm an entrepreneur, independent adult.
I was like, it's none of my business. I was like, okay. So I asked her that when I was 18, because we never knew why. Mm-hmm. And she said it was none of my business, you know. And I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. I'm 18. And then when my dad passed away, I said, surely now she'll have to tell us, you know what I'm saying? Like, why? And I said, you know, Mom, I'm like literally serious. We're like sitting on the bed, you know. My dad's maybe been passed now for maybe 2 months. And I'm like sitting there with her, and I'm just like in this whole like depressed mode. And I'm like, why'd you and Dad get divorced, Mom? She goes, it ain't none of your business. And I was like, okay, ma'am, you do know I'm like 27 now? Like, at some point, do you want to tell us? So when my sister and I have concluded with little clues that my mom has dropped, basically it was over financial. Yeah. You know, my mom got, you know, became independent woman, you know what I'm saying? So then it was like, oh, well, bro, I don't need you. Like, we're good now. You know what I'm saying? Like, peace out, you know? Mm-hmm. So it was like, oh, so I knew early on, and I had this conversation with Pete very early on. I said, I don't do like this whole your account, my account thing. I said, I don't do that. I said, we are one. We're getting married now. If I'm going to be the person responsible for the bills, and even now he hates it when I tell him like, hey, so I need you to sit down because we need to go over our like financial sheets that I have. He's like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm like, if I die tomorrow, it's like my mom telling me what I used to tell Pete, you know, what I'm telling Pete now. My mom used to always be like, I don't want to know. When I would tell her, she's like, if I die tomorrow, who's going to take, you know what I'm saying, care? So it's like, if I die tomorrow, I said, do you know any of the passwords to anything? How to pay the light bill, how to pay the cell phone bill? He's like, no. He's like, don't you have it on your phone? This is such a comedian. I said, yeah. He goes, yeah. So I'll just like put the code on your phone.
You can barely remember his codes. What are you talking about, man? Come on. Come on, Chico.
So literally, I like gave him, I keep it all on this one sheet. I literally said, save this sheet. Here are all the passwords to everything, to the insurance account, to like everything you can possibly think of, right? It's like, so like I get it. He doesn't want to mess with that because his brain doesn't work like that. But I get it. But I still think it's important for him to know, like, you should know like what bills are due what day, what goes here, what goes there, or whatever, you know. But I feel like a lot of times, a lot of relationships like don't do that. They have their separate accounts and they're married. I mean, I know someone who literally like they each have their own account, and then they have the joint account, which is the one that helps. I guess that's the one that pays the bills. Mm-hmm. What's up, Juan?
No, keep going.
Which is the one that pays the bills. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and I said, oh, so she's like, yeah, this is like my money that I get to spend. This is your spending money. So I kind of said, oh, so I guess it's like kind of like the envelope situation where I would like, you know, I'd give like Pete X amount of money in the envelope for the week, and I would get an X amount of money in the envelope. And this was like basically like, oh, you want to go get your nails done? Like you got to take this money out of from here. You know, you didn't get extra money, so you had to like spend your money wisely, right? So I was like, is that kind of how it is? And she's like, no, like we be borrowing money from each other. I was like, what? I like couldn't like, that didn't like compute in my head. I was like, y'all borrow money from each other. I'm like, but y'all together, like how you, he's like, no, he's got to pay me back for my, I was like so lost with that.
Yeah. I have an interesting take on this, and you can tell me what you think. This is coming from a guy who's 2 divorces.
Okay,
but
let's hear it.
But like being alone for this long, and I did it the traditional way. The first marriage, I did it the right way. You found the first girlfriend. First girlfriend became my wife. Mm-hmm. We stayed together, joint account, everything. I did everything you're supposed to do. So I've been there. I've been that, and mm-hmm. then I've also like, okay, I've lived enough to be like, oh, okay, so I would do it different like this. Mm. And what I've come to realize, because you know, there's studies on like arranged marriages work longer than actual mm-hmm. marriages, and the reason for that is because when they come in, and I think everybody should take, so when we talk about communication, we talk about it as in like it's common sense, but it's not. Like there's a deeper form of communication where it's like you have to come to an arrangement of terms mm-hmm. on the same word, because your definition of something could be different from my definition of something, and we use we tend to use words that we have no idea what the actual definitions are, and that's an American thing, a very American thing, to where you say something and it means something different to you than it does to me, and these terms have to be done in a certain way where it's like, oh, cheating to you is different from cheating to me. This to you is different from this to me. Like, those things have to be talked about. Your finances are handled a different way from my finances. Let's sit down. Okay, where could we come into an agreement? So communication has to take a deeper thing before you even, like when you get into a relationship, that's one thing. And really, this is, I'm trying to make a bit out of this, and it did not work this weekend. But like, I got too deep. But there's
everybody was like, damn, what's he going through?
Yeah. Basically, that's what happened. So basically, because I was talking to a friend, and I was breaking it down for them. And when I was doing it for them, I was like, oh, dude, I bet you there's a lot of people that need to hear this. But dating is the chopping block. You need to get through it as fast as possible. If you go on a date and you hear too many red flags, it's over. don't perpetuate it and keep going out for meals. Done and gone before any feelings get involved. It's got to be the chopping block. And people confuse dating with relationships, and there needs to be a boundary between the two, because when you decide to get into the relationship, now you're taking your time. If you're in the relationship, the terms have to be made there, where it's like, okay, we're together now, no more dating. This is cheating to me. What's your cheating? Okay, that's what cheating is to you. Now we can take our time, and by taking our time, I mean, I'm not telling you to get married to me, but do you at least want to get married? Okay, we can both agree that we don't want to get the marriage. Okay, cool. But you want to stay with me for long term. Okay, cool. We'll go down the rabbit hole as we go, but at least you're looking forward to, I just don't want to have sex with you. I want to actually be able to, would you think about moving in with, get the terms of communication down, of knowing exactly what you're getting into and knowing what your boundaries are there. And once you get there, then at that point, it's going to be the man's turn eventually to take the time to then propose to you at some point. And if he trusts you, because the way that the law systems are set up, the way that that's set up, guys are going to be more hesitant to marry you. So at that point, if things are going that route, then the guy then has to decide, you know what, she's been with me through this, she's helped me build me up here, I want to marry her, like she's been there for, and at that point then you get engaged, and you're still taking your time. That's the thing, if you're getting into a relationship and you at least know where the funnel's going to end and you're willing to go long term with them, think about all the opportunities you're missing if y'all can't come to that agreement. So that's why when you initially date somebody, or when you initially get into a relationship with somebody, you have to determine, I'm willing to waste years with them if it doesn't work out, but these are the terms, and if they break those terms, it's a no-go. So then we just won't get in a relationship. And that's how you're supposed to guide it. But we don't sit down and process these different terms, because at the end of the day, marriage isn't like we gotta get there quick. And if somebody's pressuring you to do it quick, it's not gonna last, and they don't even know what that is either. They haven't taken the time to understand what they're saying.
For sure.
So when you see that, that's a huge red flag. So you have to take time to really understand what your terms and definitions for relationships, to dating, to marriage, to engagement, to know. Once we're in a relationship, hey, we're going to cruise. We're going to go slow and steady, baby. There's like, learn different things. Do I like her when we're living together? Do I like her? Do I think she's going to be a good mom? Do I think he's going to be a good dad? Okay, well, you need to get him here to become a good dad so that now we can talk about kids. Yeah. Because you can't just have a kid right out of the relationship, because then you don't even know if they're gonna be a good fit to even be a dad or be a mom. You know what I'm saying? So like, these are things that nobody's talking about anymore, and I think that's where all the confusion gets, and then it's just lost in this noise, and then you just get kids, that's what you do. And it's like, no, it's just nobody's just sitting down talking about it. I think that's huge.
Yeah, and I think also they've also have made it seem like marriage is a nuisance now. Like, it's just not a thing to do anymore. Like, you live together and that's it. And then you figure it out. And if it works out, then cool. Then maybe the next step now might be marriage. And if it doesn't work out, then everybody goes their separate ways, and no one, committed to anything, and, everybody is done.
The format works in the past. It's just that we're doing it different now.
For sure, because I knew early on when I started dating Pete, I knew I was not going to repeat the same mistakes that I made in the past, right? And so I told him early on, like, the things that I was just not down for, and I just like legit said, if this is not like what you're doing, like, or wanting, I'm cool with that. Like, we just let's just be whatever, you know what I'm saying, hookup buddies, I guess, you know what I'm saying, because this is not, I don't want to just, I was already 33, like, I knew that I wanted marriage in my life, like, you know what I'm saying, I didn't care to have children, but I knew that I wanted to build something with someone, you know what I'm saying. So for me, it was like, if that's not where you see your future, I'm totally okay with that, and I respect that. So that is what I want. And if you don't, then we need to chunk the deuce now. Like, don't waste my time and I won't waste yours. And that's just kind of all it is, And I think we both kind of knew that we did. But speaking about all that, I remember we were driving back from one of the shows one time, and we were talking about marriage or something. And I just said, he goes, yeah, and prenups need to happen in a marriage. And I turned around, I said, what? He goes, yeah, prenups need to happen. I said, no, yeah, I don't think so. I'm against that. He's like, well, why are you against that? I said, he goes, what about if all the stuff that, what about the stuff that the person had before, they got married? And I said, no, that's fair. Anything before marriage, yeah, I would be down to sign like I don't own or can keep or nothing, this doesn't belong to me before marriage. I said, but anything that we build together as marriage, no, there is no prenup. That's both of ours because we both put in, what I'm saying, like the time and sweat to make whatever it is that we had our vision for, so it's only fair. I always say that it's my Libra mentality. Like, I feel like I'm that's part of like a trait is like, you're a fair person. Like that's kind of, so for me, I felt like anything that we work together, no, it should be 50-50. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't know if this is really how it would go down, but hypothetically, this is what I think, I think it would be a tad bit easier if, let's just hypothetical, you end up in a divorce, right? You have children. Mm-hmm. You obviously know y'all were having to pay for this kid's stuff. So why not sit down and look at the financial responsibility of a child, of about how much you spend a month on food and whatever else and activities, and if they're in like a private school, and say, hey, we're going to have to go 50-50 on this, and this is how much you need to cough up, and this is how much I'm going to cough up because these are both of our children. Wouldn't that make sense? And don't you think a lot of stuff would be a lot easier if if people kind of came together that way? I don't know, but I get it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody sees things differently, but I told him that early on, and it was funny. We literally were just talking about that last night. We were waiting for groceries to be delivered, and I don't know how that came up. And I said, I just remember thinking after that conversation, my feelings were so hurt. I was like, oh, this is not the person I thought I would like to spend the rest of my life with, because we were already dating for like a hot minute, almost a year, I think. And I just remember, or we might have already made a year. And I just remember thinking oh no, this is it. This is like a relationship killer for me. Like, this is not what I want for my marriage. I don't want to have a prenup. You know what I'm saying? I think we both need to have an understanding that what we do together and what we build together is together. You know what I'm saying? And and if anything were to happen, the right thing to do, right, is you divide everything up equally. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's just common sense in my head, and it's not common sense to anybody else. But I was telling him yesterday, I said, I remember thinking oh my God, this is it. So I need to break up with him pretty soon because we're not seeing eye to eye. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, this is it. He goes, what? I was like, yeah. I said, but then as I think we started dating, I think you saw me kind of like what you just mentioned before, where you said, oh, this is the person that helped me. You know what I'm saying? She built me up, whatever. I think he saw it as oh no, this is not the person that is with me because she's trying to take what I have or get some of what I have. This is a person who's wanting to actually build something. And then and then when we got married, it was funny. I made a joke, right? And I said, so do you have the prenup ready or what? What are we signing? And he looks at me. I said, "Oh, you don't remember that conversation?" He does not remember that conversation at all, and it's so vivid in my mind.
No, I remember
exactly. We were driving.
I would never forget this.
Exactly. I was in the car, just literally at my feet on the dashboard, and I was like,
which tamales you want to keep?
I was exactly. I was oh yeah, this is not gonna work. So we're gonna have to break up tomorrow.
Yeah, but see, he probably grew up because if you look at him being in show business, he probably was around a lot of people man, you in show business now, you gotta get that because you don't know who's coming. And I think that's the damaging thing about prenup. This is exactly why I'm talking about, especially with everything I just said, is that's why I would do it different. And I've had to come to these conclusions because I've come through 2 divorces. I've lived a life so that I can actually put it in a perspective that I can explain to my son. because I don't want him to be as blind as I was, didn't have a father figure and stuff like that. So I want to teach all this stuff to him so that he can make his own decisions. If he decides to do something different, that's fine. That's fine, but I want to give him the best way I can break it down. And I think one thing with the prenup thing is that's what's damaging about this red pill space and different things. It's good in a sense that it's men trying to nurture younger guys to think for themselves and not just be played. But it's bad in the sense like things like this, where it's like, no, if you literally find a girl that you've been with you and got through the dating phase and you were in a relationship phase and then you're thinking about marriage, you have to understand that journey that you were in a relationship. If you were in that journey and you really love that person, like deeply, like to where it's like okay, like I said, I was married with my first girlfriend and everything. I deeply loved her to the point where it's like at the marriage, at the divorce thing, I literally was like, look, the car's under my name, the apartment's under my name, everything's under my name basically. But I was like, everything's yours. Like, whatever, just get it out of my name or whatever, we'll figure it out. And this is coming from somebody that didn't have a lot. I didn't have anything. I couldn't even get I was literally living out of my car when we separated.
Oh, wow.
Because everything was under my name. I had no more credit to get another apartment. Everything was under my name. So it kind of screwed me, but that's why I started living out of my car at the beginning, because I didn't have anywhere to go where we were living. And I wanted to see my son because my family's in San Antonio. They were, and my ex-wife and my son were in Odessa because that's where we divorced. So I literally was like, if I move, I'm not going to see my son that often. So I stayed in my car for like a year, just figuring that out. But my point is, it was never a question on splitting things up. It was just like, I just need my clothes.
Yeah.
Let me just have some clothes. And whatever you want to take. Because I didn't want my son to go through a divorce. Like, I didn't want him to go through the stuff that I went through. I didn't want all that stuff. And she's never experienced divorce. Like, her parents were still together. Okay. They had some crazy stuff, but they stayed together. But she never experienced it. So I'm coming at it from like, oh no, I remember this very vividly. Like, as a kid, I got to make sure my son's okay. And that was like my whole goal through the whole thing. And the only thing I fought for with her was like, hey, I'm giving you everything, but that's just to tell you we're joint custody. Like, that doesn't mean anything to her, but we're joint custody. That's all I want on paper. Joint custody. That's all I want. Yeah. And the whole child support thing, I was like, oh, yes, of course, I'll pay child support. Do you want spousal support? Because I put her through school. So I put her at like, basically every girl that's left with me has left on a high. I've always left on a low.
Wow.
Yeah, I always build people up. But anyways, they said, do you want spousal support? I was like, of course not. And then that's when her lawyer hit me with the, oh yeah, by the way, you're on child support now. I was like, oh, they could have just canceled. Okay, whatever. Let's do this. But yeah, that, like, I think with the whole, to bring it back around to the what is it? The prenup. I think if you just discuss the terms of like really knowing that this is a person and it doesn't work out, I think it can end amicably. But it's always like this whole, like, the only time you're going to get scorned is like if you cheated. Yeah. And at that point, you should have just told them you wanted a divorce later or something. Yeah. But I don't think that would happen if you literally sit down and really talk and figure that out. Like, oh yeah, let's go deeper into this thing. I think it could work out. I just don't think we're going that deep. So we're not going into relationships to deepen the relationship. We're just staying at surface level stuff. And I think that's where this culture is so jacked up. And I think that's why we have a lot more divorces, because we're not getting past just the surface level. Yeah, I married her so I could have sex with her all the time. Or I married her so I could do this thing. It's like, no. Like, you're growing as a person. She's growing as a person. Are we growing in the right direction? Yeah. What are we building together? This is going to outlive us. Like, this is going to go to our next generation. Sure. Our kids' generation is going to go to the next generation. That's what you would be building as a unit. But people don't even think about that because they can't even think past the year.
And I think they can't think about past themselves. Right. Like, they're just so selfish. We've become so selfish. It's about me. It's about, look at me, like my post, put a like on my selfie, or put a like on my, you know what I'm saying, on my accomplishment. That's why when I was doing this thing with Ilse, she says, you know, people would probably really like to see like a lot of the stuff, like we kind of went through this rabbit hole of like redoing my website, right? And so she was like, why don't you talk about any of this like accomplishments that you're telling me about? And I was like, because I don't feel like, I'd rather give somebody like advice, right? Than me say, look at this list, guys. You know what I'm saying? Look at all these great things I know how to do or can do and I've done. And you know what I'm saying? For me, it's more like, I'd rather like help you and give you advice and maybe I'd rather me tell you one-on-one. That's why when she suggested like, you should start offering consultations.
She's kind of right though. And wait, hang on, wait. Okay, wait. Okay, we're gonna fight. Okay, this is why. That's the social proof. Meaning, you're giving advice that's good. And see, I'd rather your advice get out there than a red pill space or a feminist space, or like I consider you something outside of that where it's like, no, your advice is actually worth something. But why is it? Like, why are these people going to listen to you? Well, because I've done this, so I have experience in this. It's almost like Chingo with his 4 stripes wipe.
Oh, yeah.
All right, look, hey, I know what I'm talking about with this move because I got the 4 stripes, dog. Okay, it's the same thing where it's like, it's social proof where it's like, look, I'll give you advice on this because I'm coming from a place of I've been there.
Yeah.
So let me tell you why you should. Instead of some guy blows up on social media because he made a funny video and he's really like a young kid still and he's giving out like relationship advice on like a gaming thing, and that's why we got all these jacked up kids. Yeah. When it could be more valuable from you, and that's exactly why I told Chingo, like that's why we're changing up some of the questions and some of the concepts, because I told him, bro, at the end of the day, like, there's advice that people are giving online that don't have experience in any of the stuff that they're giving advice on. They're just influencers, and sometimes they do it for clicks and views. I said, I wouldn't be asking you to tell advice on, you know, the marriage side or the kids side if I didn't see your life. Like, I'm literally around y'all, like, all the time, to where it's like, no, y'all live that life. It's just a matter of, like, communicating it to people to be like, this is my viewpoint on it because of this, and this. I think we should go this route. And I think more people need to step up in that sense if we want to be the change that we see in the world. You know what I
mean? That's a very good point, because, I mean, I try to tell like Penny, like the fact that my mom did not like that Penny said that she wants to have a husband and she wants to get married and have kids. And my mom was like, no. She's like, you need to go to school. I'm like, no, you don't tell her that, because that's exactly what you did to me. And I want for Penny to be independent, but I also want her to know that it's okay to be a mom. Like, that's about to cuss now. That's a job too. Shit. You know what I'm saying? That's a hard ass job. All them stay-at-home moms who get no free time, that's their job 24/7. Like, nobody does nothing. Like, okay, my girlfriend Rania, that is her job all day long. You know what I'm saying? Her only time that she gets to herself is while they're at school. And it's not that long, to be honest with you, because now after she gets them, it's like, hey, now we got to go to your next activity, and now we got to do dinner, and now it's that. And then maybe she might get some more little alone time before she goes to bed and has to do it all over again, right? So it's like, that to me is like, you have sacrificed a lot. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she's got a degree. She had a very successful job before. You know what I'm saying? And she decided, like, this is what works for our family right now, because my husband travels a lot for work. And why would I go to work and leave someone with my kids all day? Right. You know what I'm saying? And let them raise them when I can be doing this. You know what I'm saying? So she has said, like, sometimes she feels like and I get it, and I sometimes feel that social media, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, I feel like I need to get back to the workplace, like I miss it, and I'm like, what do you miss about it?
This is why the family is so important, is because this is the thing. So your daughter's saying that she wants to be married, and that's cool. But like, this is where the dynamic of the father and wife have to come in, or the father and mother have to come in, because if you're together in a unit, like the Hollywood's messed up everything, because now it's like a running joke to like, I'm gonna scare this. I'm gonna scare this little boy away. I'm gonna scare this little boy away when he comes into the house. It's like, okay, or, and I've had this conversation with people I've dated too with their kids. Or you let them date while they're in school, so you can supervise them. And in the sense that, like, okay, I see this going down a wrong rabbit hole, and I see that this kid has a terrible, because not everybody has a good, like, parents. Like, you guys are great parents.
Thank you.
She might run into some person at, like, school and be like, maybe their parents suck, and that's not their fault, and you can't help who she likes. But rather than, I'm gonna chase them off with the gun, all this stupid shit, it's, you can literally be welcoming to him, and, like, Chingo can, like, give him some game.
Yeah.
Like, instead of trying to scare the kid, it could be more of like, I'm gonna help this kid develop and really put some principles on him, to where it's like, that way I don't trust him with my daughter now, but I can train him up to do that, and that way I can trust this boy with my, and I think that's lost on a lot of people. I think most parents are like, they're not going to date while they're in my household. It's like, no, that's the best time to date, because at the end of the day, you don't want your daughter or son to freaking date outside of your household, because what happens is they go into the real world, they get their own job, they got school going on, they're doing all this stuff, they're trying to make money. Now they throw relationships, they've never experienced it before, they're going to fall flat on their face. Let's just say they start just having the fun life of being, like, start getting run through and all these different stupid things that you throw these terms around, and now they have to work in heartbreak on their own, when they could have done it while they were in school with their parents, and their parents could comfort them and, like, look, let me tell you this story, and let's make it funny.
No, get out of here with that shit. Like, no, you don't be crying for no man.
But you could actually break down, like, funny story, like through your experience of dating. Hey, look, I went through this with this. Look, I know you're not gonna get it right now, but look, this is what happened. This is how I handled it. You might handle it different, but these are all things to make the future a little brighter that people just don't talk about.
And I agree, because Penny said that she had a boyfriend in school, and I said, pardon me? And my first instinct was to say, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So I said, no, I'm sorry. She said she had a crush. And I said, oh, you have a crush? And I said, do you know what that means? She goes, yeah, they're like your boyfriend. I said, no, that's not what that means. And so I kind of explained to her what a crush was, right? I said, that means you think someone's cute and you like them. I said, but they're not your boyfriend. And then she goes, I said, it's okay to have a crush on someone. I said, but it's not okay to be their boyfriend because you're 5. I said, you can have a boyfriend when you're older and you're mature. I said, like Mickey's age. I said, like when Mickey, she's a big girl, right? She's like, yeah. I said, that's when you have a boyfriend. I said, but right now you're only allowed to have friends. Do you understand? She's like, okay. Because I've talked about this plenty of times on the podcast before. The last thing I want is for her to be afraid to come to me. Or should she be in trouble, I'm not calling my mom. She's going to have a shit attack. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want her to feel that way. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I want her to feel like, well, my mom may get mad, but let me go ahead and call her. And then, after she bitches at me for like 2 seconds, then she'll go ahead and like solve the issue for, or help me figure whatever it is out, right? And that's what I don't want. Like, I had a girlfriend in high school whose parents were in their house, like, would buy them the alcohol. And I thought that was weird as hell. They're also from another culture, like, you know what I'm saying? So they're allowed to drink when they're 16, where she was from. And so, like, they didn't see it as a big deal. But they were, like, such a party family. Like, her parents used to have their friends over to play cards, dominoes, all the time, okay? And it was I'm going to be honest with you, when I think about it, I grew up in a very strict religious home. She grew up in a home, her parents, my God, it was kind of like grossy Josie, because it was like they were always on each other, like, you know what I'm saying? They loved each other. Like, not that it's bad, but it was like, sir, we don't need you to be rubbing on your booties. Why? Yeah,
Come
like,
on,
why
man.
you gotta rub on her booty? Like, while we're standing right here, like, like, that's what. But that's why I feel that my friend and her brother are so in love with their spouses. Does that make sense? Because even him as like the male he brags about his wife and he posts her on there and how beautiful she is. And this is the mother of my children. And you know what I'm saying? Just like all the things that you could, it's almost like his dad all over, like about, like almost like the way he is with his mom. You know what I'm saying? And, But they were allowed to drink at their house. I wouldn't do it because I was scared. You know what I'm saying? But all our other friends who were also Peruvian like them, right? It's almost like they knew that their parents knew that they were going to be drinking there, so it's no big deal. But no one was allowed to leave. You see what I'm saying? Everybody had to stay, spend the night there,
Right.
and call it a day. But it was also a cultural thing for them. And so I've always wondered to myself what I would do. Like, right? Because my parents were so strict. I was always lying. And I don't want my kids to lie. Now, I always gave a 50-50 lie. Because I never also wanted to get in trouble and my parents not really know where I was. So my parents knew where I was. I just didn't say who all was going to be there and what all was going to be there. You know what I'm saying? So like,
I think that was a mistake of the church for religious things, where the shame is attached to sex and the shame is attached to the lies. And the problem is that you're raising people without understanding that you don't know who you're raising, because they are exposed to people that don't believe what you believe. So they have to cope with both worlds. And if you don't understand that as a Christian, then you really don't understand the Bible in some sense, because Jesus understood that. That's exactly why he would mingle with people that weren't just believers. They became believers through him. But my whole point to this is it's healthier for a kid to understand alcohol with their parents, because when they do get into those party scenes, they've already experienced it. There's no allure to it, to like, oh, I can do this now, I'm old enough. And they don't overdo it. You're watching them like, hey, you can have a little bit. Like, here's a little bit of wine. Here's a sip of wine. You want some wine? That's what it tastes like. You don't like it, huh? Okay, yeah, that's okay. But you could have it here if you just ask me. Is that cool? Could we agree? And then, because now they have a healthy relationship with it, with like, oh, that's what that is. They might not even like it, but you wouldn't know. Or they might be liking it too much, and you might be like, oh, that might be an alcoholic. I gotta keep an eye on that. Where you can at least guide them, like, hey, don't do this when you're angry. Don't do that. You can tell them the guidelines. Hey, this works best under these circumstances. Yeah. So that they are like, oh man, yeah, my parents taught me that. And the other thing with the whole sex thing is like the being affectionate towards them. We, as like Christians and stuff, we associate that with shame of like, oh no, that's for the bedroom. Yeah. And oh no, it's so spiritual. It's like, no, there's at the beginning of the Bible, God is like, no, have sex and be married.
They talked about sex at church, and it was so funny you're saying that, because he was saying how you're supposed to be like intimate with your wife and have those nights. And I told Pete, isn't it weird? The pastor, because this is Ed Young, the dad, not the younger guy saying it. It was the older man saying it. Right. You should have seen like the energy in the room. You could tell, like, people were like,
yeah, those are all the ones doing some secret stuff that
you could tell that they were all like feeling weird, because he had said you should be having like sex and you should be making, like, you know what I'm saying? He was just talking about all those things, and I can't remember exactly what to say. The sermon's up on
That's why
YouTube.
People cheat. But it's like, you wouldn't have that if you showed more if we were more open about like, no, you're married. You're allowed to love on your wife. Your wife should love on you. Yep. Like, but everybody's like, no. You keep that to yourself. You don't need to show everybody.
Hey, but you keep it to yourself. But there be people like with 9 kids. I'd be like,
yeah, it's like,
we know what y'all was doing. Y'all got 9 kids.
Yeah, it's like, you should be able to show. And a day of social media and a day of all these different things, a wife would love to be like doted on, like, show me off to the world.
Yeah.
Like, show me you love me. I'm getting all these DMs from all these other guys. They love me. You don't even show me you love me to everybody else. Like, what do you hide? It's very be transparent. And if you didn't love them like that, you should have never gotten a relationship to begin with. That's why we talked about, like, y'all need to communicate the rules and the terms in order to get that. Yeah. And if you don't have that in a relationship you're in, you shouldn't even be in it.
100% agree. I agree with all of that, because my parents were not affectionate.
I had time to think about this.
Yeah. Yeah, because my parents weren't affectionate growing up. I mean, they kissed. We saw them kiss each other when they'd come home from work, when they'd go to bed, and, you know, when they're leaving to work, they'd hold hands out in public. But we didn't see them like You know, like Penny will say "ew" to me and Pete when we're like kissing. They're like, But then I don't know if I think I said this on the podcast one time when Penny tried to kiss me in the mouth, like because she saw Pete. You know, that's how he kissed me, and I'm like, hey, what are we doing here? She was like, well, you and Dad kiss that way, and I'm just like, okay, here we go. Like I had to like sit there and say, I'm like, I had to explain to her. I'm like, you know, Dad and I love each other. You know what I'm saying? So it's like kind of like the whole conversation, but you know, they see that, he and I show affection, which I think it's important to children to see like there's affection in the home and they're hugging and kissing. And that's why when Penny first wakes up, I'll be like, can I have a hug? And she'll be like, and sometimes cause she's grouchy, you know, it's early in the morning. She'll be like, why do you always want a hug? You know?
But like with anything, there's a dual thing to it to where it's like, because they see it, they're going to see that love in the household. And sometimes that's where the other talks have to come in play. Cause like
some people
you might raise them
like
a little
that.
different. So like, well, no, they might be in a hurry to get that. Like they're going to see that and like, oh, I want to get that. So you got to like watch out for that too. Like you as a parent have to be really close to your kids to know, because if you're raising them a different way than you were raised, you also got to keep an eye out on, okay, what could this affect? And it could affect like, I just want to get to that. How do I get to that?
Yeah.
And you might not find that for a while, but like you have to show them how to be patient and stuff with certain things like that. And so it's like you really have to be tuned into your kids, not just on the phone with the kids, because a lot of parents do that and they don't really pay attention and they think, oh, I'm giving them time, you know, I'm with them for an hour. It's like, bro, you were on your phone for like 5 minutes. What you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like there's that regular time and there's like enhanced time of like, oh, this is like tuned
Sonny's
in.
going to be a gangster. But I definitely see Penny being more of the like fairy tale, you know, type of person in a way. But she's so good at understanding, like when I explain things to her, like for example, the other day I was yelling at her because, you know, I don't understand. Like, I'm like, you don't need to cry about everything. Like I told her, you got to use your words. I know that the crying is lack of being able to communicate. Does that make sense? And so I said, what was your frustration? And she's like, I couldn't put on my pants. Okay. I said, so what we need to do is put on your pants. And if you can't, you say, Mom, can you help me please put on my pants? I've tried and I can't. And I would say, yes, Penelope, I will help you. Do you understand? Because she was then crying and saying, why are you being so mean to me? You know what I'm saying? And that's also my problem, is because I don't be doing like, you know, stuff like that. When I do like get like, you know, aggressive or, you know, more stern, she sees it as like, oh wait, you're being mean to me. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't see it as I'm being stern. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't really do. So I just told her. So when she finally calmed down and she went to bed, I said, do you understand why I was frustrated with you today? And I said earlier, she's like, no. I said, well, let me explain to you. I said, because maybe I didn't do a good job because I was already aggravated. And I said, okay. So I kind of explained to her about it. I said, we don't have to cry about every situation. If you can't put on your shoe, you don't need to cry. You don't need to whine about it. I said, what you do is you use your words and you come and say, hey, Mom, I tried to put on this shoe and I'm not able to. Can you help me? And then I'll say, sure, let me help you. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I said, do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? And she says, yes. I said, okay, so moving forward, let's stop crying. And if you feel like you're starting to get this emotion of frustration, you say, can I get some help? And then we yes, you know, it's like, there's no need to be crying just because you couldn't put on your damn pants. Like,
yeah, well, it's transitioning from like a toddler to like her age type of thing, where it's like, oh, I gotta unlearn this part. But and the other thing is too is like, and I'll just tell you this for Penny, she's gonna have trouble when she gets older, because like I see that she's gonna be a star. Like you could literally tell she got that little. Oh. No, for real though. Like she's got a lot of. Like, she's probably going to be an entertainer in some sense or something.
You know why? You're right, because Just Here sent me a video of, I guess, like a drama class in school that did the Addams Family.
Yeah.
And all she said was, you know what the first words out of her mouth were? They weren't like, oh, this is cool. She said, well, how can I be Wednesday Addams? She's like, I want to be her. I want to do that. And so I was like... And that's when I told Pete, I said, I think we're going to have to put Penny in some like child like acting classes. Like, you know how there's theater for fun that they can do? And I told him, I said, I think we should probably consider it and see if she nothing, it doesn't hurt with her just trying it out.
I already tell people, like, I've been around, like, his show, and he'll talk about Penny on there, and I'll be like, yeah, she's gonna be big, watch. Because, and I think she's gonna have to struggle with seeing y'all as a married couple now, and it's gonna be that whole thing of, like, she probably will be a YouTube star. She probably will. She can get into it, and she's directing things. That's the whole reason. Is because, like, when I'm there, like, Chingo's like, I'll follow your instructions, and she's like, well, no. This is what we're gonna do. All right, this is what. Let me break it down for you, Juan. And I'm like, oh yeah, tell me. I'm just running the camera, little girl. You tell me where to go, and I'll shoot. What are we doing? And then Chingo has to, like, call Marisol. Hey, can you tell her to stop, like,
I know.
directing? Please.
So she can't be the director and the actor.
This is a never-ending story.
Yeah.
So she's gonna have a lot of problems with the relationship side because a lot of people are gonna see her in that light. So it's gonna be like a give take, and you're gonna have to, like, be, like, there. And, like, I can already see that becoming an issue, like, where she's gonna have to find that balance somewhere.
That's what's scary about children. It's like with Sunny, I feel like she about to wrap.
Sorry guys, I was doing the wrap up sign because, like, the battery's running low on the mics, and that just came out wrong.
I know, and I read his mouth, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, my bad. No, just to end it with this, with Sunny, I think she could be a little bit more gangster, and I just feel like she's just not. I don't know what her job's going to be, but that girl's just thug for life. I don't know if it's a terrible tooth, but I hope it goes away. But anyways, we'll do part 2 of this for our private episode. If you haven't, guys, come on over to the Patreon. It's Patreon.com/Her Lounge Podcast. Come and be a part of her world, guys, and join us. We'd love to have you. And our pop-up is coming up October 28th at City Place in Spring, Texas. If you're not following me on Her Apparel, go ahead and follow me over there, and I'll be having more information on there so that you guys can come out and support. And I have a bunch of new merch. And so, come out, support Penny and Sunny Kids and Her Apparel. See you guys. Bye.